State Representative Jeffrey Elmore with your weekly session update for May 4th. Today is the last day of crossover, and the House finished its business this morning to close out the crossover day. Now, I talked about this last week. What crossover is where a bill must get from the House chamber to the Senate chamber or from the Senate chamber to the House chamber to still be active in the process. Now, there are a few exceptions to that, but pretty much the policy bills have to go from one chamber to the other to still be able to move through the bill lawmaking process. That deadline is today. And the House, we moved through almost 200 bills in the past few days, moving legislation over to the Senate for consideration. And the legislation varies from everything from new license plates to changes in criminal law to basically anything imaginable, any subject matter. All the committees were extremely active in the last 2 to 3 days. So happy that the House finished their business this morning. I want to highlight a few bills that I thought directly affect the district. And next week, in the newsletter that goes out to our local newspapers, we're going to have a more extensive list of bills that move through this week, because there was just so many that really it will take a couple of newsletters to highlight some of the bills that directly affect District 94. So here's some highlights, just a few from this week. We sent to the Senate House Bill 295, Promote North Carolina Sawmills. What this bill would allow is for local sawmills that mill less than 1 million board foot of lumber per year. It would allow them to basically go into a contract with an individual that is building a small dwelling, a single or double family dwelling, that they can contract with them and the lumber can be used without going through the grading process. This is a niche market, especially with building cabins and hunting structures and things. And this could be a very good opportunity for folks in Wilkes and Alexander County because we do have quite a bit of smaller sawmill operations. So this would be a good business avenue for them. HB 20 passed. This is the Cash Commitment Act. Basically what this legislation says, that if you are doing business or health care in North Carolina, that you have to accept cash. We have seen a trend, especially after COVID, that many businesses are just saying we don't accept cash anymore. We believe in the North Carolina House that cash is legal tender and that it must be accepted in business transactions. So this bill moved 112 to 5 over to the Senate. A bill that I worked on with Representative Cotham is dealing with teacher licensure changes. We did a couple of things in the bill, and we actually amended it through the process. What this bill would allow is if you're an out-of-state teacher, that North Carolina would recognize your license for up to a 3-year period. And if there's no problems, the local board would have the ability to renew your license here in North Carolina. This would really help with some of our teacher shortages that are around military bases and also in border counties that border South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia. The bill also allowed for the local boards of ed to be able to renew those licenses. So any way that we can help try to get qualified teachers in the classroom, I think streamlining some of this red tape will really help that. That bill passed unanimously, is now over into the Senate, and we've got support on the bill from Senator McInnes, and he will be working on it on the Senate side. Now, some bills that came from the Senate over to the House. We voted on Senate Bill 206. This is the Controlled Substance Opioid Vaccine at Home Omnibus bill. It deals with a lot of drug regulations, which with our problems with opioid addiction in the district, I felt like I needed to share some of what this bill does. It creates new penalties for folks that are making counterfeit substances, basically fake pills, and trying to sell them. So you would get an increased criminal penalty on top of not just dealing the drug, but that you are actually selling a counterfeit substance. And also owning the paraphernalia that is associated with these counterfeit pill production places. It also deals with clean needles, trying to create a system. The biggest thing with heroin use is the needle itself. and the diseases that come along with exchanging of needles. It tries to deal with that issue. And we've seen rates in our district go up in things like hepatitis, HIV, because of this. So that bill passed the Senate 49-0, and it passed the House 116-2. That bill will actually be moving to the governor. Another bill that came from the Senate that we voted on last night, and we voted on it in what's called a conference report where you could not amend the bill, is Senate Bill 20, Care for Women, Children, and Families Act. What this does is, current law, we have a 20-week abortion ban in North Carolina. What this would do is take that abortion ban from week 20 down to week 12, except for extenuating circumstances that revolve around rape and incest. And it clarifies all of that. The bill also does a lot in child care, foster care, also with parental leave for our state employees. It includes parental leave for our teachers, which our teachers currently do not have that benefit if they are having a child in their family. So this was a huge step for pro-life policy in North Carolina. It's the biggest change that we've seen in 50 years. It passed the House 71-46, and while I'm filming this, it is still being debated in the Senate. The Senate started at 10 a.m. this morning, and they actually took a lunch recess, and they came back, and it is still in debate as we speak. I feel sure that the votes are there in the Senate to move this bill through the process, so it will go on to the governor and be sitting on his desk probably by the end of the day today. And we will see what Governor Cooper will do with this pro-life legislation that is on his desk. Some stuff coming up in the district that I wanted to make you aware of. I'm looking forward to talking to Mr. Fincannon's class at the early college in Taylorsville. He has a civics class that I'll be speaking to tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that discussion. I always love talking with students about the process down here. Also, I want to stress again this week about the chronic waste disease dealing with the deer in Wilkes. We are now one of those counties where it has been identified. So there's extra precautions that need to be taken. If you find a dead deer, you really need to leave it alone. Please don't put it in your truck or try to haul it somewhere else. We actually had a case of this pop up, and they found that the origination was a deer that came from a county from one side of the state, and someone had put it in their truck and carried the deer all the way to the other side of the state, and the deer was diseased. So it created the start of the disease in another county. So we are a hot spot for that, us and Yadkin and Surrey right now. So please refer to the wildlife website on what you need to do if there is a dead deer on your property. Also next week, the North Wilkesboro Speedway will be holding an open house to show all of the renovations. It is on May 10th. That is extremely exciting for our community because the All-Star Race is coming up. It's only 2 weeks away. The week of racing from late models early in the week all the way through the trucks, and then the big show on Sunday for the All-Star Race. So they've got all of their preparation together, and it would be very exciting for a good turnout from the community on May 10th to see all the renovations out of the Speedway. Last time I was out there, it was unbelievable, and they were working, just hundreds of folks working, and I'm glad to see that it's all coming together with that. And you may have read in the local papers, I am announcing my run for the Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina. I did my initial announcement at the Wilkes County GOP, and I'll be talking next week with the Alexander County GOP about this very exciting thing. I'm very excited about opening up the campaign. We'll have a more formal statewide press release dealing with the campaign and kind of kicking it off in the next couple weeks. This is a weekly session update. There will not be one next week because I will be in district the whole week. So check out the local newspapers for the updates on the bills that moved through since it was so heavy this week.